this is just kind of an instant reaction to tonight's Mare of Easttown episode. It's episode 5. The title was Illusions, and I mean the show probably had arguably had its best night since it started. Only 2 more episodes left. Um, the obvious thing is we learned who had what's her name, Katie Bailey. I was shocked that it all kind of hit us that quickly. But like I said, man, I kept tuning into this show knowing that or feeling that there was going to be some payoff, to watching the show. I love the way that they built the world of Easttown. 2 episodes ago, we learned quite a bit about Kate Winslet's Mare. We even learned her full name is Marianne. But she like she told Zabel, Detective Zabel tonight, her life is a shit show, and we really didn't know why. But I like Mare. She kept it a buck with everything. She's not perfect, and she's trying. You got to give people credit for trying. So she got put on leave. I didn't even. That was a crazy ass plan that she and that's how imperfect she is, to go break into the evidence locker and take some heroin and plant it on the mother, or plant it in her vehicle, the mother of her grandson, just to try to keep her grandson. But then we saw that flashback of her son cussing her out when he was looking for some money for drugs. Kind of reminded me of Gator in Do the Right Thing. Was it Do the Right Thing? Not Do the Right Thing. Jungle Fever. And to see this kid, this son attacking his mom like that, and saying such hateful stuff to his mom, you kind of feel sorry for Mary. She can't be that damn bad. But we heard her daughter, Siobhan, say, like, Siobhan really doesn't rock with her mom too tough. So, like I said, we learned that the son killed himself. Her son killed himself. We didn't kind of know why. We've learned about that when the chief suspended her from the case and told her that she had together. Basically, that's why I really like this show, because of it's down to earth. And shout out to the makeup people, because all of these people, all of the actors and actors. So that was going on. She was off the case, but of course she was still trying to work on the case. She broke down this episode. She really tried to and now that she's been sidelined, signal keeps cutting out. But she tried to open up to this therapist and make the most of this situation. She agreed to go out on this date with her partner, Zabel. I think his name is Colin. And we learned as they get out to dinner that Colin, she only did it because she this is how shitty she basically is. But I like her though. But she only really went out to dinner with him to stay close to the case and to kind of pick his brain and to see where he was. And it's kind of funny we learned about him. He has some skeletons in his closet. He didn't figure out the case that kind of made him this local star or hotshot. The reason why he was brought in to assist Mare with solving this case was because he figured out that cold case, and now we learned that he didn't even know nothing about that. It kind of fell into his lap, and he's going through some shit himself. He lives at home with his mom. It's kind of that. I feel like a lot of us are there. You get to a certain stage in life, and you kind of you're questioning how things have turned out. Have you gone far enough? Did you take this risk? Did you chase this dream? Yada yada yada. One interesting line here that Mare tells Zabel her partner, is that doing something great is overrated. I thought that was a pretty significant talk from her because she doesn't say a whole lot. She's really not all that compassionate about too much other than her family. But she takes this opportunity and shares with this young guy who she's watching struggle to kind of figure out what he is, and then he's chasing her and is attracted to her, and she's like, you don't even want to be bothered with none of this shit. Like, my ex-husband lives behind me. Like, all of my shit is messed up. Um, and Zabel is just that green, or just that immature as a younger man. I don't know how old he is, early 30s maybe. But she's just like, you don't even know what you want. You don't even know when to run in the other direction. So anyway, but she's still working this case. And she brings us to this moment where she's looked up some old connections, um, to have this meeting with a former prostitute, as the story or the investigation has turned to this sidedoor.com. And this older, or this veteran sex worker, prostitute escort, she showed us some pictures, and they get a meeting with this other young girl who's working the streets. And she had an encounter with this individual. She got a partial on the plate. She was able to escape. The guy choked her and did some similar stuff to what we saw in the previous episode with the young girl and the van, the dude in the van. But this young female escaped and is able to give some information. Like, why hasn't she reported this to somebody so that, that somebody can get this dude off of the streets, possibly? So that's kind of interesting and emblematic of, how people kind of keep to themselves, and don't, and just really don't support law enforcement all the time because of different views towards law enforcement. But the other thing here is that, so she gives them the information. They put two and two together quickly. Zabel calls in the plates to be ran and the description of the van. They go interview some houses, knock on some doors for, to talk to some potential suspects and see if they can find any leads with this new information. And it takes them to this house. I really like that scene where they knocked on the door of the guy who is the guy. But the camera pans back from them on the front porch as they go into the house to talk. He has the rock music playing, and then the camera pans back to the sign that we saw 2 weeks ago when we got confirmation of life on Katie Bailey, I believe is her name. And so they're in the right place, and you're sitting here like, well, this is only episode number 5. What's going on here? This is ratcheted up things significantly, and we got 2 more episodes left. So I thought this was a really good scene. I mean, we've seen some similar scenes before in TV and film, kind of Clarice and Wild Bill or whatever from Silence of the Lambs. It kind of reminds me of that. There's some other similar situations out there. But the interesting thing here is that they pick up on the fact that this man smokes Winston's. That's one of the tips that the prostitute or the young girl told them, that she knew it was Winston's because of her grandmother or whatever. Somebody in her family was the only person that she knew that smoked Winston's. So Zabel looks down on the table and sees the Winston's, and he alerts Mare to the fact that, hey, this is our guy. He's playing this loud music. And then, shout out to Katie for understanding what's happening, because she had told you a few scenes earlier. She told the new girl, for lack of a better word, the new detainee or kidnapped female. She tells her, like, here's the schedule. He does this on this night. You know, he has this poker party. He locks me up or chains us up and gags us or whatever. Um, but here she notices that people are there, and she's like, well, this is unexpected. So she goes to start making noise in the house. And, you know, the guy, whatever his name is, he makes some excuse about a busted radiator. He goes in the back to turn the music down and grabs a firearm and comes back ready to, uh, you know, defend himself or avoid being taken into custody and whatnot. The crazy thing here is that because of the fact that Mare is suspended from the case, she's not carrying her firearm. Zabel just, you know, spoiler alert, but Zabel goes out abruptly, and I didn't think, you know, that's, I mean, it's only a single season show. It's only going to be 2 more episodes. But, you know, I didn't think that we would see, you know, either one. I didn't think we'd see anybody lose their life in this show. So for Zabel to get shot in the head and die just as he was kind of, I don't know what he was, this weird infatuation that he has with Mare. He's kind of on this high thinking that I'm gonna find a way to break Mare and create this relationship, and so he's kind of experiencing a step in his personal life, and then professionally, he has this major breakthrough with this case. So he's kind of on this high, and then he's gone. So that was kind of an interesting turnaround for him, a quick change of events for him, and then we get into this scene where. You know, this individual, the kidnapper, killer, or whatever the hell he is, sexual deviant, whatever, who plays poker, with 2 girls chained up in his bar that's no longer operating. This dude is crazy in a way. Well, he's crazy, but you know, Mare's in his house. She's been shot in the hand or the wrist or something, so she's been injured. Her partner is down. She thinks very quickly and texts, you know, to headquarters or whatever that it's an officer down, and she sends the address so that the other police can come and help her out. But meanwhile, you know, she doesn't have a weapon, and she's running around in this house that she, or this structure, this building that she's not familiar with the lay of the land, and she's trying to save herself. So you know, she does a great job. And that's kind of like, again, that's why I like Mare. She's a little screwed up, but she's a fighter. But she figures out a way to stay alive and even to take down the perpetrator, you know, without being killed herself. So that gets us to an interesting spot in the series, because we got 2 more episodes left, and the major case is solved for the most part. But if you've been watching the show, you probably had some thoughts earlier on, and I mentioned this in an earlier recap, that we didn't know if all of these cases were connected or not. And Erin's situation seemed different. Obviously, you know, she died of a gunshot or whatever, and with her actually being killed versus these other females just being kidnapped, we didn't know if these things were connected or not. We did learn a little bit more about Deacon Mark tonight. That's going on. The other very interesting, very significant development this episode is how shitty of a person, I think her friend's name is Jessica or Jessie. She's a piece of shit. Here we were kind of having some compassion for her for a couple of episodes because her best friend was killed in the manner that she was killed. She gave us some important details that helped lead to some developments in the case. But now we find out that she's working or has some kind of relationship with Dylan, who is another piece of shit. and she takes Dylan to the house because they did give us they did let us know that Kenny has been incarcerated for shooting Dylan. That's the father of Aaron. I was wondering where he was. Like, you just shoot a dude out in the woods, and what did they do with you? But they did say that he was locked up. But the one thing that's going on with Kenny, I mean not Kenny, but with Dylan, is him and his girlfriend. What's her name? Brittany or Brianna or whatever. The girl that beat up Aaron in the woods. His girlfriend. They have this moment, and we learned something new about Dylan that, you know, I thought he was kind of removed from my list of suspects because of the interview that we saw between him and Mare a few episodes ago. So he was kind of moved over to the side. The fact that he was shot and survived being shot, he was just over to the side. But he is an asshole. But now it comes back. He has this discussion with his girlfriend. I guess he quit her, and then she lets it be known as he tells her to step. She says, well, you know, I woke up in the middle of the night on the night in question, and you were nowhere to be found. And he gets all upset and tells her, I think you need to get out of here. You need to leave right now. And immediately it's not looking so good for him that he didn't have anything to do with this girlfriend he's a very tightly wound individual anyway, but we just didn't know how violent he could potentially be, and didn't know that he could be a killer. We still don't know. You know, they've dangled some stuff in our face and, you know, out there for us before. So we still don't know. And that's kind of what's going to be interesting going in into these final 2 episodes. So like I said, man, this episode really brought the show you know, to a real climax, really raised the stakes for the show. By far its best episode. We didn't see Guy Pearce this episode. He was kind of becoming a suspect for me for some reason. You know, it was like, why is he around at all this episode? What else was going on? But they introduced some weird stuff this week with Mare's best friend, whose husband, they tried to trick you right there. I didn't know if the husband was molesting his son or what the hell was going on. That the mother, well, I can't remember her name, but she walked by and overheard her husband whispering to him about keep this a secret, yada yada yada. But I guess it's another woman that was involved with that situation. And then Mare also with his brother, which both of those dudes are Kenny's brothers. He said something while they were sitting there having beer and pizza, and you know, out the blue, he popped up and had to leave, and Mare was listening or like doing the detective thing on whatever he said, and he felt like you know, he said the wrong thing or whatever, so he left. So we got some more things to look into in regards to who killed Aaron. And Dylan, you know, is probably number 1 on the list right now based on you know, him and the couple of interactions that he's had. They also, the thing that kind of pissed me off, honestly, in watching the show, going back to Jess or Jessica, whatever her name is, they go into the house, get those diaries. She lied to Mare and told her that the diary was in between the bottom and the middle drawer or whatever, in the chest drawer, and it's really across the room. And Jess takes Dylan and his friend in there, and they get the diaries. So you feel like that's gonna obviously take away some evidence or a potential way to connect more dots for you know, for Mare, who now, if you saw the trailer for the next episode, she's going to be reassigned back to the case after being the hero this week. So they're going to bring her back to the case. But they burned up these diaries, and Jess is sitting there reading something. We don't know what it was. She kept one of the books and stuffed it into her pocket before she burned it. But that's just screwed up, that your friend died the way or was killed, at 17 years old or whatever. This child has no mother, and we don't know who the father is at this point in time. But, the last memories or remembrance of this person are now gone because they went and burned up these books. So I kind of don't understand what the end game is for Dylan other than to be covering up his tracks that he killed her. If you're burning these diaries and whatnot, and basically, just closing off everything that anybody could learn about this life. So he's definitely looking like the person who has something to do with the death. One thing that Deacon Mark didn't tell us was that was another curveball that they gave us when we saw Deacon Mark throwing the bike into the off of the bridge into the river or whatever. He was looking like the main suspect, but now we find that he went and picked up on the night in question. He went and picked up Aaron and her bike, but she demanded that he take her to this park. And Zabel and Mare already investigated that park. They had the dogs out there and whatnot, but we don't know who Aaron met there. So it looks like Father or Deacon Mark, while he's another piece of shit, it does look like he didn't have anything to do with the actual killing of Aaron, but he did obstruct, the investigation and whatnot. And we saw last week, they showed you that the bike is going to be pulled out of the river. Who knows what evidence or information can be pulled off of the bike. But they're going to get him back in and question him. We see what comes out of that. And then what else is going on? So I guess get ready to shut this off. I guess the other thing that I do like about the show is while it is just a 7-episode, limited series and whatnot, like I said, I've been a huge fan of the world that they built over these episodes. And they've taken some time. We know the relationship with Frank, her ex-husband. We know the relationship with her mother. Siobhan has her relationship going on with the girl who's the DJ or whatever. We've learned more about, Kevin, I believe is her son that committed suicide. We see a little bit of a breakthrough with Mare kind of trying to reclaim her life and put some of her baggage behind her, knowing that her father killed himself. And at some point in time, what I do like about what's going on with Mare is like at some point in time, you got to be you got to hold yourself accountable for your own life. And the fact that her father decided to take his life, the fact that her son decided to take his life, these things aren't necessarily reflections of who Mare is as a person. And she could sit here and waste the rest of her life carrying that shit around. She mentioned that she wasn't good enough for her father or whatever to stay alive and continue to be her father. She looked at herself as not being enough of a reason for him not to kill herself. But that's some shit he was going through. Whatever was going on with her son, that wasn't necessarily shit that she could fix. But she can, have a relationship with her daughter. She is fighting to try to keep her son or her grandson away from a mother who might not be capable of doing a good job at being a mother. Who knows? But everything, all is not lost for Mare because of the things that have happened around her. So I kind of like that they're delving into that side of it and telling us more than just what's been happening with this investigation. So we have to see what her friend, I can't think of what her friend's name is, whose husband is having this affair or whatever. But we'll see how that kind of weighs into some things. We have to see what's going on with Kenny's brother, how that's tied into things. We have a lot of loose ends to check into and see what's going to happen. Despite the fact this major storyline of the series comes to an end with the kidnapper being killed. But we got some other stuff to wrap up. And like I said, man, I thought tonight really was the finest moment for the series. I mentioned earlier, the show that HBO had with Hugh Jackman and Nicole Kidman, The Undoing. That show really disappointed me in its last one or two episodes, definitely in the finale. I think this particular episode right here, Illusions, is probably going to help this show go off or go out or close out on a higher note, in my opinion. So that's kind of where I am with it. I know last week on Saturday Night Live, they did a skit to kind of make fun of, the show. I haven't seen a whole lot of buzz out there for Mare of Easttown. But I like the show. So we'll see what happens. The interesting thing, one little side note is kind of interesting. The director's name is Craig Zobel, and the detective that got killed tonight, his name is Zabel. I don't know. That just stood out to me, just looking at the similarity in the two names. And again, just to see the dude die, that really kind of shocked me a little bit. I just definitely, didn't see that really happening. But he was killed. So that definitely added to the drama in the show. And like I said, next week, let me see, do they have the title of that one? The other thing is right now, looking at the scores on Rotten Tomatoes, it's really trending really well in terms of, the viewer reviews and like the critic score. I think both of them are 92% right now. So, it seems like people are really supporting the show, and I don't know, man. I really like it. So I'm gonna leave it off at that. Nobody wanted to talk about anything. I see a couple people hanging out in the chat. Appreciate it. Somebody hit the like button. That was dope. Again, man, it was just a really good episode. I really wasn't losing interest in the show whatsoever, but they had introduced quite a bit of new things last week, and I was wondering what they were going to do with some of that stuff. And this episode, while everything didn't close out, obviously, with Katie going home now, and this new girl that was in there with her, that were both, being held in this bar. It's just interesting that it happened in the 5th episode. So that's about it. Again, my name is Wood, man. Thanks for everybody that checked in with me. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. Anybody wants to leave any comments about, thoughts on the show, tonight's developments, what's left to happen over the next 2 episodes, who do you hate? What storylines do you want to see get addressed? What do you think they've where do you think they've made any fumbles? Anything you don't understand, or whatever, all engagement would be appreciated. If not, I'm still liking the show and life is good. So let me get on out of here. Have a great a great week. I'm getting ready to go check out this week's episode of City on the Hill. That's my other Sunday night show right now. And I think that only has like 2 more episodes, and that I think that, or 2 or 3. So that's it, man. Pay me no mind, sports and entertainment. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Peace.